Hello class. For this week's breakdown, we'll mainly be going over the resubmission assignments. So the goal for all of these assignments is to take your previous submission and to read the critiques, the comments, the feedback, whatever, and to improve upon that. Okay? So one of the things I want to strongly emphasize and encourage you not to do is don't resubmit the same work that you've done. Don't resubmit the same work you've done, especially if I've left some kind of feedback for you. Whether it's, use less words, use more words, cite a source, whatever. So even if you got a 31 out of 31, but I left some kind of feedback to improve, then do that. Okay. I don't want you guys thinking, okay, well, I got an 80% on this particular assignment last time. I'm just gonna, I'll just submit it again. I'll get 80% again. No, you will not. So please, if I have any feedback that I've given you, do that and then submit that again. Okay. So going on a assignment by assignment basis, I'm going to go over some of the most common things that errors that usually have to be fixed in the resubmission. So for the visual aid, usually the two most common things are there may be too many words on the slides. So if it's so many words where you're reading it word for word, or I can read your speech based on your visual aid, then that's too many words. You want some key points, okay? Or the opposite of that, some people just have basically a blank background or one screen, one title screen, and that's it. So in that instance, your visual aid needs to be more than that. For the outline, oftentimes, again, there's too many words. Sometimes if I can read your entire speech word for word, then yeah, that's too much in your outline. Also, if you're talking as if you are speaking, so if you're using all the ands and ums and and this is why I like such and such because it reminds me of such and such. If you're speaking that informally in your outline, then yeah, you probably have too many words. It's not supposed to be basically a manuscript of your speech. And for the video resubmission, a lot of the most common things are, and I've said this to many of you, it may sound familiar, but you need to hear it again. So include a preview of your main points. So near the end of your introduction, tell us what you're going to talk about. So that way we know that when you bring up this particular thing, it is intentional. So I'm going to tell you about this particular thing, and I'll do this by talking about such a blank, blank, and blank. Okay. Also, citing your sources. Some of you go through your entire speech. I understand there's some personal history, some direct experience you have with this, but still there should be sources. Even if all of it comes from you or a conversation that you had with somebody else, you can still look up information about and do research on that particular thing, and that way you could have even more knowledge to back up what you're saying. So also, when you go from one point to the next, make sure that it is very clear to us, your audience, that I'm done talking about this one particular thing. Now I'm going to go on to the next point. So some of you have it well documented in your outlines, but in the execution of your speech, I see the outlines like, okay, they're supposed to be talking about this, but it just seems like it's just an endless stream of consciousness type of thing. So no. So when you get done with one, say you're done, go to the next thing. Also, your concluding summary. So at the end of your speech, or in the conclusion, say, hey, I've talked about this, this, and this. So it just reminds them of what you're talking about. So usually those are the areas where a lot of mistakes are made. Just wanted to remind you of that. So make sure that when you do your your outline or your visual aid or your video again, that you remember these things, so that way you can have an even better grade. Take care.